bird and the mole. Somewhere in the world, in the middle of untouched nature, surrounded by enormous snowy mountains, was a place of incomprehensible beauty. Forests full of uncountable species of birds, which nested in the thick crowns of old massive trees. Rivers, so pure and clear that seemed to spring from another world, in which fishes were splashing about, and vast fields tinged in all colors of the rainbow from all kinds of flowers. Somewhere in this place was a giant tree, older than all the others. It seemed to be there since the beginning of time. In the crown of this tree nested a small bird with a little purple feather on his head. He enjoyed his life in the crown of this tree. Everything was fine but one thing. At the bottom of the trunk lived a small mole between the roots of the tree. The mole was always digging holes around the tree, making lots of noise with his chomping, and creating unsightly piles of dirt everywhere, staining the beautiful surrounding of his tree. The mole at the bottom of the tree had a little red nose and was always digging tirelessly in the search of food and for creating his tunnels. But the bird which lived in the crown was always noisy with his chirping, and every time he went to the surface to rest, he thought the bird was just lazing about and looking down on him, as if his spotless feathers would make him something better. One time they got so annoyed by each other that they started a massive loud argument about who had the right to live in the tree, and tried to get the other to finally leave the tree and find another place to live. The argument got louder and louder, and neither of them wanted to leave their loved home. When they were chirping and squeaking as loud as they could, their noise got suddenly interrupted by a deep, frightening crunch. They fell silent for a moment, shocked by this terrifying noise. After another moment, a deep, throaty voice arose from within the tree. In a very slow and deep voice, it asked what all this commotion was about. The bird and the mole were frozen, surprised and slowly grasping that it was the tree talking to them. Slowly the bird got his composure back and then started to explain in a very chattering way to the tree that it should tell the mole to leave, since it was just destroying the ground and the roots of the tree. But the mole promptly interrupted the bird to defend himself and said that the bird was only lazing about and cutting off the little branches of the tree. While the two animals started to argue again, the tree rose his voice again and told them to stop with a deep, scary growl. The animals froze again, stunned by the sound of the mighty tree. Then the tree offered them an answer to their problem. To decide who will be allowed to stay and who will have to leave, they will have to do a competition. The mole will have to bring a shiny star from the top of the sky, and the bird will have to bring a bright star from deep inside the earth. The animals looked at the tree questioning. How are they supposed to do this? The mole can fly and the bird can dig. To achieve their goal, the tree will grant them the necessary means. It gave the mole the ability to fly by transforming its big paws into big wings, and the bird the ability to dig by turning his beak into a strong drill. Whoever comes back with the star first will have the right to live with the tree. Then the tree fell silent again, and the animals set to start their quest to retrieve a star. The mole was sure he would win, since he only needed to fly up to take a star and come back. So he flew straight up towards the sky. The bird just thought it would be an easy victory, because he only needed to dig down, take a shiny star and bring it back up. he immediately started digging a deep hole. The mole kept flying up as hard as he could until it became night. He saw the beautiful stars in the sky above him, myriads of stars that illuminated the empty night around him. But no matter how high he flew, the stars didn't appear to come closer. At sunrise, he was still trying to go higher and higher. Also during the day, he was still not willing to give up, even though his wings were sore from all the flapping and the sun was burning on the dark thick fur of his wings. The endless blue sky around him seemed completely empty, and he had a feeling of loneliness. But he didn't want to give up his beloved home and kept trying for many days and nights. The bird was digging deeper and deeper into the earth. After a while, it became pitch dark and he couldn't see anything anymore. When he made small breaks to catch his breath from the hard work, he noticed the unmatched quietness and the warmth of the earth. But not being able to see was making him feel uneasy. Sometimes he stumbled upon things in his tunnels and he couldn't recognize. And it scared him to be in such a small dark space, not knowing what's ahead. And the deeper he was digging, the harder it became. The more rocks blocked his way, and the more dense the earth became. But even under all these conditions, he didn't think about giving up his cozy nest in the crown of the tree. So he kept digging for many days until he was completely exhausted. After a lot of struggle, both animals returned to the tree, starving and at the end of their tether. The fur on the wings of the mole was bleached by the sun from his dark black to a light purple, and the beak of the bird got red from hitting so many rocks in the earth. The tree, already expecting their arrival, asked them if they were able to bring him the stars he asked for. Both looked very sad and frustrated, and the mole answered first. He said he flapped his wings as hard as he could to get as high as possible, but it seemed he couldn't get any closer to the stars. He tried until his wings were painful and stiff, and he had to tumble back down to earth. Then the bird answered that he dug as hard as he could, but the earth just got harder and harder, until he couldn't manage to dig any further anymore. He tried until his beak got numb and he didn't have any strength left anymore, and had to get back to the surface. So the tree concluded that both of them had failed and said that this would mean that no one managed to win the competition, and thus both of them needed to get expelled. Desolate, they pleaded to the tree to let them stay. The tree listened to their begging for a bit and finally said that there was one possibility for them to stay. If they would acknowledge each other and promise to live in peace with each other, they might stay. The two animals felt silent for a moment and thought about the hardships they had to endure. Then they understood. They agreed immediately without any complaint. From this day on, the bird and the mole lived in harmony with each other, the tree and everything around them.